What is up? Welcome to the MJT Football YouTube channel Pickems show. We do this weekly. It's going to be a little different than most of the weeks because we got a little bit of a time crunch, but we're still getting you our picks for every game of week 8 right on the other side of this little ditty. Tony, ask me why I'm holding my arm up.
Why are you holding your arm up?
Because I am destroying you guys in this Pickems challenge. And I deserve to hold my arm up as the champion that I am.
I still believe it's fake news. I don't know what the record is, what the score is, but it just feels like you guys started off so shitty and then all of a sudden have taken the lead over me.
We started doing good. We started doing good
at everything in life. And now I'm in last place.
We started doing good. Everyone, if you're tuned in to the show, if you're tuned in to the channel and you want to submit your picks to compete along with us, there's a link in the description of this video, whether you're watching the replay or you're watching the live stream. You can go submit your picks. It takes like 5 minutes to submit them to Mike's Pickems Challenge, the pool. I'm challenging all of you. I'm challenging Tony and Joe. We're not going to waste any time. Like I said, we are on a little bit of a time crunch. Here's the picks for this week. We usually go through game by game, but Joe's scheduling conflicts, my scheduling conflicts, and just us getting ill this week kind of prevented us from getting it done. But here are the picks. We still have our picks in. We're still competing in this. Right now I'm in first. I have a three-game lead on Joe unofficially. We got to recount the tally. Or is that's 4 games, not even a 3-game. 4 games? Jesus, you guys suck. And a 5-game lead on Tony. Tony, do you think that this count is accurate? Because there is some controversy.
Well, I don't even think, I don't. So I have picked 108 games, or I don't know. I don't feel like that Joe's counting all of his losses, and some of his losses are counting as wins. I feel like that could be the same thing for you. Is that you're like, I feel like that team shouldn't have lost that game, so I'm going to give myself a win. You also have a friendship with the Mike's Pick'em pool people. Like, you have a working relationship, so you can go back in and say, hey, Mikey needs another win this week. Like, let's go ahead and flip one of those around for me on the back end.
And Mike's Pick'em's Challenge is named after Mike. Like, what if I didn't win? That's not fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of conspiracies. I think you also wait for my picks, and the ones that you're like, well, this was kind of a long shot. I'll just pick the same as him just to be safe. Like, there's no need for me to take that chance. You wait for mine to be like, all right. That's why I tried to give you guys the last second picks from me, so you guys can't be copying my wrong answers.
This is the 3rd year of this challenge, and I used to just challenge like a little small group of creators before I did the whole pool and worked with the Run Your Pool website and everything. And one of the creators was What Off-Season Sports, now known as Petty Sports, Adam Lewis. And Joe used to swear that this man would copy his picks so Joe couldn't come back in the competition. So Joe would just start picking the most wildest upsets that he knows that no one else is going to pick, and he just falls so far behind in the competition. We're going to talk about these games, y'all. There's a few differences. Obviously, the Thursday night game already went down. So, Tony, you're already down 0-1 for betting on the GOAT. Look at you go.
This is the first of all, it's very frustrating because the Bucks are falling apart, and for many reasons. And I feel bad for Todd Bowles because you get a raw deal with New York, and then you're like, oh, well, this year he gets Tom Brady, and he's just going to rack up all these wins, and it's going to be great. Well, he's getting part-time Tom Brady, who's like showing up on his own plane to certain games and like taking time off in the preseason. And then he's got a bunch of other players where it's like they've either lost a step or they're overweight or they're not quite showing up. Like, it just doesn't feel the same for the Bucks. So I feel bad for him. I don't know. Even in the 4th quarter, I still was like, well, Baltimore's going to do what they do. They're going to mess it up somehow. And they didn't. They won. Congratulations. Another L for me.
Yeah, Lamar, more of the rushing attack. Lamar played pretty good in the second half of that game. The first half, it was looking ugly. It was looking like it was going to come down to whoever just can get a field goal at the end when the time was ticking down. But the Ravens ended up getting that lead. Another game. Let's move on here. We're all agreeing on the Jaguars here over the Broncos. I said it in my TikTok, and I'm a little bit aggressive on TikTok because I understand triggering Broncos fans might be great for my algorithm. But I said that there is no team in the league right now that I would take the Broncos to beat. They should be a better team than the Jaguars. They should be a better team than the Houston Texans. They should be a better team than whatever team they're playing from week to week if it's a bad team. But they're not. And until they are, I have no faith in a team that is averaging 13 points a game. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I have a weird feeling that the team's gonna lay down, and they're just gonna be like, all right, take Nathaniel Hackett away from us. Like, especially if it goes bad, like an early interception from Russell Wilson or a fumble on the first play from Melvin Gordon. They're like, we flew 9.5 hours to get destroyed by the Jaguars in London, and we don't even get to see the city or anything. Like, I could see the Broncos just being like, all right, if we lose this game bad enough, they're going to take Nathaniel Hackett and we maybe can start to come out on the other side.
That pressure definitely is publicly being felt now for Hackett.
Yeah. Oh, it should have been being felt after like week 2 or 3. There was one thing I wanted to say about the Bucs too. First drive of the game, they run the football a bunch, success, whatever else.
Yeah.
Then they run the ball like they ran it like 6 times in the first drive. They ran it like 8 for the rest of the game. Like, bad, terrible play calling. I can't deal with it anymore. I just had to get that off my chest.
I think that's the way out of that hole is to start feeding Fournette and White.
Yes. And if they need to bring in another back and just make that the recipe for success. This game right here, this London game that we're going to get to see, I feel like this is the one that is setting up for the Jaguars to be like, they've been trying to force feed them to London forever. Like, this is the one game where you come out and it's like, you're playing a team that has a really good defense. Like, what if they just went out there and for no reason whatsoever, Trevor Lawrence has the best game of his life, throws for like 290 and 3 touchdowns against what I think is one of the best defenses in football, and the Jaguars just light him up. I'm going to get up and walk my dog early tomorrow just to tune into that one before our Sunday show in the morning. I can't wait for that one.
For fun. An Amber Alert for Joe. Joe's at work, y'all. Joe's at work. Couldn't make it today. What was it? I think he said Mike has family arrangements. Joe's family arrangements with his family at work. The London Jags. Yeah, I mean, they're undefeated in London, I think. Let's keep this train chugging along. Here's one where we have a difference. And I understand that I'm on the unpopular side of this opinion. It's the Vikings off a bye week at home. I just looked at the last, I think they're in a 4-game win streak or 5-game win streak by the Minnesota Vikings. Every single game by 1 possession. Arizona offense seems to be catching a little bit more fire now that D-Hop's back. Like I said, I think the defense has been playing a little bit underrated to what people have been grading them. I'm trying to get an upset pick here. I'm trying to get one on y'all by picking the Arizona Cardinals. My thought is that maybe the Vikings start off slow out of the bye week for some reason. Just a super talented young team. Come out this game slow, get down 14, get down 10, and then it's close from there, and the Cardinals hopefully make the plays for me to get me a win over you guys. But obviously the Vikings should be expected to win that game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings at home for that reason. Coming out of the bye, you have an offensive guy who's been able to sit back and game plan for a Cardinals defense that has been having success. So what's the one area where teams have been able to have a little bit of success about them? And how can we get Justin Jefferson in the most advantageous places? And when then they're overloading on him, here comes Dalvin Cook, fully rested. I think it's a close game because Minnesota Vikings only play close games, but I'm leaning on the fact that if you are an offensive guy and you had 2 weeks to prepare for this defense, you find a way to figure it out.
Yeah, it feels like it. And that would be a big win for the Vikings, getting to 6-1 while the Packers continue to struggle, and they got the Bills this week. They may have won the division. I don't know. How much can the Packers dig out of that hole if it's 6-1, and I believe the Packers will be what, 3-5?
I think, yeah, they'll be 3-5. Yeah.
And the Vikings are a good team. They're a hard team to beat. Like, the Packers are going to have a hard time beating them, and they're going to have to beat them at that point to come back in the division.
And they already won week 1.
Yeah, they already got them on week 1. So, on to the next game here. Dolphins, Lions. We're all in agreement. The Dolphins should win this one. I think the Dolphins have a better game this week than they did in Tua's return against the Steelers. I don't think the Lions have even as good a defense as the Steelers down TJ Watt.
I'm so close to switching to the Lions, Mike. Like, every time I look at this game, I just think to myself, like, okay, like, let's say Amon-Ra is healthy for the full game. They're getting back Swift. The Dolphins have only scored over 21 points in one game. Now, I know Emmanuel Acho has the entire internet thinking that Tua Tagovailoa is some sort of superstar Hall of Fame quarterback, but they've struggled to score points when he's in the game or out of the game, except for one fourth quarter against a Baltimore defense that was not ready to play football at the beginning of the season. They brought in like first time defensive coordinator who was a game script coordinator for them, and then went to Michigan with his brother and came back. Like, they're now starting to figure it out in Baltimore on defense. But I look at the Dolphins as like, they're not as good as we want them to be, right? Like, you have two guys that are on pace to get 1,500 plus receiving yards for like the first time ever in NFL history. That could happen. And they're scoring less than 21 points a game, Mike.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It's terrible red zone offense.
There is a chance in this game that this could be a high-scoring game where, for once, the Lions come out on top, like 33-30. And I want to pick it so bad, but I just don't have the guts.
You're going to be happy that you didn't pick it because the Lions be the Lions. I'm at a point now where I think I'm going against the Lions almost every single week unless something points me in the Lions direction, because they're probably going to be
my boy Heineke last week and he beat the Packers.
That's true. And the Bucs lost that game. We were talking about, do these teams even have a chance? And both of them get upset.
Oh, come on. Harrison's in here. Don't talk about it. We can't be getting
what time would be for the Jags game? 6:30. It should be 6:30 in California. I don't know where in the country, Harrison. That's going to vary 3 hours or so. On to the next game here. We got the Chicago Bears on the road in Dallas. The Bears offense found life, but I keep saying to Bears fans in the live chats on TikTok and other lives I've been on this week, don't necessarily think that you're going to score 40 points against this Dallas defense. They scored a lot of those points off of just Justin Fields being a freak athlete. You put that on tape enough times, NFL defenses will stop it, and you will have to throw again.
So they did this. So remember last week, you're like, do the Bears have any chance on Monday night? And I was like, if they follow that Colin Kaepernick game script where they just run the football with Justin Fields, they'll win the game. And they did. And that is exactly what they did. They were smart. And in the second half, I was like, Bill's going to make an adjustment. Bill made no adjustment to it whatsoever. I will say this about the Bears. You get that humongous victory on Monday Night Football where you have a chance to embarrass the Patriots, like run the score up on them. And you don't. Good. I like it. Classy, Eberflus, way to go. But then you trade away Robert Quinn from the team. Like, there's a point where Roquan Smith is like almost in tears when he finds out about the trade at the podium. This is like my kid going to school and I'm like, hey, you know, you're dyslexic. It's an uphill battle to learn to read. Just get an A. And then my kid gets an A and he comes home and he's like, look, and he's like, where's the dog? I gave the dog away. You can't take away things from, you can't. You cannot do this to Roquan Smith. Hey, Roquan, you want a contract? No. Guess what? We're trading your older brother who's done so much for you since you got here in this organization. Like, it was just, I looked at it. It was the most brutal thing I've ever seen. The Bears, I think this is a terrible matchup for them.
Yeah.
It's a terrible matchup for the Bears.
Yeah, and Roquan's like, you guys traded my other older brother like 2 weeks ago, you jerks. Yeah.
Just looking around, he's like, what's going on? I thought we were going on vacation. Nope, son, we're going to clean the rain gutters. Get up there on the ladder.
Yeah, and the Bears were gifted a couple extra possessions in that Patriots game. That most Patriots games, you don't get gifted those possessions.
Almost got zapped. No, got
zapped. Yeah. Yeah, so on to the next one. I also think that Dallas is going to be hungry. They're going to be hungry in this game because the offense wasn't quite what we expected when Dak came back. Maybe they lock in and they have a good game on that side of the ball too.
The offense was exactly what I expected.
No, that Tony.
Lions should have won that game. Jamal Williams fumbling.
There's no game. The Lions, man. Anyways, on to the next one. Who that think they're gonna beat them Saints? Not the Raiders. I have no logic behind my Raiders pick. So just blind hate. What's your logic behind your Raiders pick, Tony? On the opposite direction.
It's real close. And if Devontae Adams does not play, I will be switching away from the Raiders in this. I think that the Saints defense has not shown me that they can dominate the run. And the Raiders have shown me that they're willing to run the ball like crazy. Raiders should have lost to the Texans last week too, but it's the Texans. And sometimes you just get a chance to catch a team like that where it's like you're so much better than them, but you weren't playing your best. The Raiders turned it around. And I think the faster that the Raiders realize that their route to success is through Josh Jacobs, the better off that football team's going to be, right? Yeah. And it will make Derek Carr even that much better, and it'll make the passing game better and everything else. I'm picking the Raiders narrowly in this one on like a 58-yard Daniel Carlson game-winning field goal. Like, I don't feel great. I'm not like, oh, man, the Raiders are going to crush the Saints. But I think they're going to be able to squeak out of this one, cause some problems for Andy Dalton, as we saw that the Cardinals were able to do, and they get a close win.
Yeah, that's a fair prediction. Carlson, he's a stud. I'll tell you what. Best Raider on the team. On to the next one. Joe's in on the Panthers. Harrison, shout out to you, buddy. You and Joe are best friends. But neither of us are in on the Panthers. I just think that the Falcons are better coached right now. The Falcons have a team put together right now. They've been competitive in a lot of games. They have around a 500 record. The Falcons should win this game. I know the Panthers just upset the Bucks, but was that more about the Bucks or was that more about the Panthers? I think it was more about the Bucks.
I think the Panthers smelled the blood in the water, right? It was like, oh man, are you seeing this? Like, Tom Brady doesn't even think he has to fly with the team. Like, they're not even showing up at practices. They're not even doing any of this stuff. And you get to do all of that sort of like, this is what we do. You know, the guys get to rally together. The GM is trading away players. They don't think we can win. You know, like, it's us against the world. You can ride that sort of mentality for 1 minute, right? 1 game, 1 week, a little bit. But at a certain point, it's going to come down to, can PJ Walker, who I like, who might get on the backup train with me, I might put him in there with the rest of my backups, I love. I already got Heineke and Cooper Rush. Let's go. Dak Prescott, shaky. I'd be looking over my shoulder. And Wentz is not getting that job back, by the way. My boy Heineke cracked a cold one in Lambeau. We haven't even got to them.
How about some Sam Ellinger?
I'm not picking Washington this week either. But I think going on the road to Atlanta, we can see something where it's like, all right, let's go ahead and take this division the way we should. We're gonna run the football a bunch at home, and we're gonna try and play keep away because we have no secondary. And again, a close win. It's not like I don't think the Panthers are getting crushed. You just tell me I got to pick somebody. I'm picking the Falcons by like a point.
Yeah, And Johnny, talking about Pickems here, but for me personally, my team's a little banged up. I'm around 500, trying to figure out what it's going to take for me to get my team into the playoffs down the stretch of the season, trying to make some trades, but no one is listening. Last year, I got some pretty favorable trades. This year, not quite. Well, anyways, on to the next game. We got the Patriots on the road in New York. I am glad to see you guys pick the same pick as me for the first time ever because I've been getting absolutely toasted for this pick, Tony. Did you know in my comment section that I'm a freaking idiot for taking the Patriots? I'm confused on where the Brees Hall-less belief is in the Jets. Like, all of their offense is going through Brees Hall. You take him out, and they're playing against a good coach and a good defense in the Patriots, even though they did just get torched by the Bears. Zach Wilson, not going to run the ball like Justin Fields can. You take out Brees Hall, where are the Jets going to get the offense from? And they barely have been squeaking enough offense with Brees Hall to win games.
So they didn't I was just going to make a joke that I'm glad he added a couple extra Ks in the way he spelled the F word there. But they didn't get torched by Justin Fields because like his arm. And that's the way that Zach Wilson is going to have to beat him. So it's not going to like, you're not going to convince me that not only did they lose Brees Hall, they lost Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, this is a guy that they've moved to a few different positions on the offense this year, and that's been a big part. So now you're saying, like, yes, the Jets have momentum, and the Jets have been playing really good defensively this year, but running the football is a way that you can get after them a little bit against the Jets, and I think that we're going to see that. I think we're going to see Harris be back another game this week, stronger from the hamstring. We're going to see Ramondre Stevenson. We're going to see Mac Jones away where he's not getting booed off the field. You shitty ass Patriots fans that are there acting like Bailey Zappi, who I love, another one of my backup guys who I love, like he was going to be the answer over Mac Jones. It's like, maybe Mac isn't the long-term solution, but Bailey Zappi isn't the guy that's going to just resurrect you guys back to 9 Super Bowls over the next 2 decades. He's not. You guys aren't going to strike twice with the Tom Brady backup bullshit or whatever. And Mac Jones is a good quarterback who you went to the playoffs with last year. He should have just been happy that he was back and trying to gut through an ankle injury for your squad. Mike, I don't see why people are so gung-ho on the Jets other than the fact that this is the first time that they've been good since what, like 2017, 26? I can't even remember. It was a Mark Sanchez season. Right?
That's the Sanchez.
So we're going back to Rex Ryan. We're going back 3 coaches ago or whatever. Like, I get the optimism, and it's fun to root for the Jets. I like the Jets. I got my Favre Jets jersey over there. This matchup is bad for them. This is a bad matchup for the Jets.
And it's bad timing for them. Yeah, and I think that the defense is playing great on its own. I also think, again, that Brees Hall and that run game and Elijah Vera Tucker, who I even forgot about when talking about this game, contribute towards the defense. Running the ball, keeping the opponent's offense off the field helps out with the defense. You have to defend less plays, less chances for the other team to score. It's just simple math.
Yeah, if they get the thing is like if the acquisition of James Robinson combined with Michael Carter can keep some effectiveness there, they do have a shot. But Zach Wilson is going to have to play the best game of his. He's going to have to be very sharp because you're also dealing with a super focused, pissed off Belichick who has owned the Jets. Like, Tom Brady could get into the Hall of Fame based on his winning percentage against the New York Jets over 2 decades. It's like 27-3. It's
insane. On to the next one. We got the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pennsylvania battle with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We just all kind of view the Eagles as a way better team than the Steelers. And a lot of things have to go wrong for the Eagles to lose this game. Anything we should add there, Tony?
I hope Kenny Pickett makes it out okay.
Yeah, this Eagles defense just keeps getting stacked more and more. They got Robert Quinn this week. Not sure how much he's going to play, but by next week, the Eagles will have another, star veteran player on the defense side of the ball. On to the Tennessee Titans on the road in Houston. This game just got a hell of a lot more interesting. Malik Willis, his first start, I think, at quarterback for the Titans, is going down this weekend against the Texans. I'm excited because I think we're going to see read option, a lot of it, with Malik Willis and Derrick Henry running the ball. They're going to have 300 yards rushing in this game. It's insane.
I definitely am more excited now about this game. And I was on the verge of switching to the Texans if they started Ryan Tannehill, right? Like, and when they started Malik Willis, I was like, ooh, now this is a worse matchup because if they play Malik Willis the way I believe that they will play him, it's going to be a lot of read option. It's going to be a lot of design runs, and Malik Willis is going to be able to have some success, easy throws there, where it's like, all right, here we go. It's going to be an ugly football game. The Titans defense has started to play a little bit better, even with all the injuries in the secondary, and it's still the Texans. The Texans have been very good against the Titans over the past few years, like winning games against them, which is kind of like maybe you're just overlooking them. I don't think that they can afford to overlook the Texans this week because they have to game plan in a rookie. So I'm going to stick with it. And somehow I feel stronger. I feel better about that they're not going to limp out Ryan Tannehill onto the field.
Yeah, I think the offense just gets a lot more dynamic. One thing that you're concerned about now is the rookie turning the ball over. I think a few foolish turnovers could happen in this game. When you got Derrick Henry, you got a decent defense in Tennessee. They should still be able to win, even if he makes a few rookie mistakes. I think that Derrick Henry is set to just have a tear of a second half of the year because the Titans, the last 4 games they've won, and in all 4 games, it's been through number 22. And I think that they're going to continue to do that, as they've done the last couple of years, but more so now with A.J. Brown out, feeding the king. On to the next game. This one's really interesting because I kind of want to go with Seattle, like you guys are going with the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks had the juice to put up some points on the board. We have not seen the Giants put up a ton of points. I told the Giants fans that I would not do it to them again, but I should be apologizing to Seahawks fans as well, to be fair, because no one expects the Seahawks to be where they're at 4-3 either.
Yeah, I don't understand. Where do you get these graphics for the thing? Because usually the home team goes on the right-hand side and the visiting team is on the left. But I think this game isn't this game in Seattle?
Sometimes I make mistakes, Tony.
Oh, okay. You make the graphic. All right. Never mind. Yeah. I thought these are somewhere else. So I think the game is in Seattle. It's 1:25 kickoff time. That's why, because when you said it was in New York, I was like, oh shit, maybe I'm a little closer because I think the benefit that I'm giving the Seahawks in this one is the fact that the game is going to be in Seattle. So I guess maybe I should be checking to make sure it is in Seattle. Anyways, I'm a little worried without DK because the amount, like Wink Martindale or whoever the defensive coordinator is for the Giants is a freaking miracle worker. Because we've talked about it, Mike. I don't know how this defense is dominating and playing the way it is. They're extremely aggressive. They run the blitz very well. I think that can cause a little bit of trouble for Geno. He's going to be a little bit more rushed, and he's going to be down somebody that's a great player in DK Metcalf. I think we could see a little bit more Walker and DJ Dallas, a little more running the football. But also, too, like Seattle's defense is starting to put together solid weeks. I saw it in person last week, how much better they'd been playing the week before they played better. So, like, you put together enough weeks in a row to where I'm like, all right, I think at home they can squeak this game out, 4 to 7 point victory for the Seahawks at home. And I feel pretty good about it. Seahawks look good.
It's going in the right direction for sure. And keeping DK Metcalf around at the time was looking like maybe Seattle should trade him if they're going into a full rebuild, get the picks, and just really load up on these draft picks. But now that we're seeing some of the young players on defense that have promise now to be maybe franchise players for them. Now that we're seeing some of the young players on the offensive line mainly, you're starting to see, like, even if it's not Geno and they need to get another quarterback in there, there's some building blocks there for Pete Carroll. He has a team for the next couple of years to work on and work with. They might not be Super Bowl contenders right now, but they could take some steps and they can get an elite quarterback in there somehow and have a chance. Harrison, I'm not making any bets on a freaking Mariota PJ Walker game. I'm just telling you that right now. There's no bets coming from me, no prize picks, nothing. I will not be going anywhere near that football game. On to the next one.
His account and duet with you.
There you go. There you go. Tony's going to hack in. But on to the next one here. We got the San Francisco 49ers on the road in LA, I think, against the LA Rams, if my graphic is correct here. This is my game of the week because of what's on the line. Both these two teams chasing the Seattle Seahawks team we were just talking about in the division standings, but more so, both these teams at points in their year where it feels like it's going to go one of two ways. And these games right here, this next stretch of 3 for both the Niners and the Rams, very important. Very important that they get wins in the win column.
There's a part of me that doesn't think this game's even going to be close. Like, I think that the 49ers might just blow the doors off of the Rams to where it's like they look shell-shocked. What are we doing? What's wrong? Lots of questions. OBJ, trade deadline moves. Cam Akers is disgruntled. Like, I look at the 49ers and the way that they are built and ready to go. I'm going to take them, and I feel pretty good about this one. I was a little shocked that Joe took the Rams until I remembered how much he trolls and hates the 49ers.
Yeah, he's putting his pick investment and his emotional investment. He's putting them all together here on this pick on the LA
Like,
Rams.
have we seen anything from the Rams that says that they're a good team that we should be like thinking they're going places?
I think that they're still a good team. I think that they are suffering mightily, and their entire season is being wrecked by the offensive line. It's just getting destroyed by the offensive line. So I still think the pieces are there on defense. I still think the pieces are there in the passing game, but Matthew Stafford has no time to get it to those pieces, and there's no run game. It doesn't exist pretty much for the Rams. So if they could have found a way, and that's what's tough about offensive line problems, there really isn't solutions midseason for offensive linemen. You have to do that in the draft and in the offseason. You're not going to get teams that are willing to give up offensive linemen. It's just rare.
His name is Jamari Sawyer.
Yeah, in the draft.
They are getting back their center this week, Allen or whatever, and they're getting potentially Van Jefferson is questionable to return. So he's a deep, like maybe he runs deep routes.
Yeah.
Maybe he stretches and opens things up a little bit underneath for Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp, creates a little bit more space for those guys, and also could help the running game a little bit.
Yeah, and Deebo Samuel is out in this game, so the Niners have a little bit less firepower, but wouldn't it be great if they had Christian McCaffrey? Oh, wait, they do now. Jesus. Yep. But, yeah, I think that's what it is for me, is Nick Bosa, the 49ers D-line versus the Rams O-line. It just seems like you can't overcome it. As long as Nick Bosa is healthy out there and the 49ers D-line is even somewhat intact, rushing against the Rams O-line, Matthew Stafford is not going to have time to put a drive together. You might be able to put one first down together, but how are you going to do that 5 times in a row and then get into the end zone against his defense? It doesn't seem possible.
It doesn't.
They're screwed.
It doesn't feel like a great matchup for them at all.
All right, on to the next one here. We got Sam Ehlinger in his debut. I'm rooting for the kid. I really am. I like the way that he played in college, and he's just a fiery player in college, and now he's here in the pros, and he hasn't really gotten his opportunity. We both are going with the Colts. Joe's going with the Washington Commanders and Taylor Heineke. Battle the backup quarterbacks, Tony. Why aren't you going with Heineke?
So close. You know what? A little bit of this is me feeling like if I pick him, I'm going to jinx him. Because last year I kept picking him in big spots and they were losing the game. And I felt personally responsible for it. So I I'm not going to pick them unless I feel like it's like a slam dunk win, and that's probably going to need to be at home for that to happen. And again, I don't feel great about the Colts and what's going on there, but I do think that the best player in this game, or the best players in this game, all seem to be on the Colts side of the football, right? Like the Shaq Leonards and the Jonathan Taylors, like these sort of game-altering players. Like Terry McLaurin is that, but then that depends on Heineke and also getting enough time to get the ball out to him. I don't know. I'm 19-17 Colts. Like that's how close it is. It's like a 2-point game.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I just think the Colts are a better team, basically across the board, and it just comes down to, is Sam Ehlinger going to completely sell this game for the Colts? They're going to manage this game for the Colts and get them out with that close victory. Is he going to elevate them a little bit? He's a little bit more mobile than Matt Ryan. Yet to be seen. We'll probably know a lot more about the Indianapolis Colts and the rest of their year after this game. On to Buffalo hosting the Packers on Sunday Night Football. I saw an analyst give a take. I don't remember which analyst it was. He said right now he will not take any team in the league on the road in Buffalo on primetime football. Like, he thinks that Buffalo at home on primetime is the hardest win to get in the NFL right now, which it's fair. It's a fair point. Packers are struggling. I have no reason to take the Packers here.
If I gave you Green Bay in 20 points, would you take it?
20?
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't either. I think this game is going to be such a blowout. Like the Packers and everything might be able to keep it close for a little bit, but I'm thinking like 41-13, like a beyond. I don't see how the Packers stop them, even if the Bills decided to run the football this game for some weird reason, which they never want to run. But like, they're not going to stop Josh Allen running. I don't see how they're going to stop the passing game to any of the receivers. Like, Jair hasn't played well enough this year where you're like, well, it'll be a little tough for Diggs. Diggs is cooking everybody you put in front of him. Eric Stokes locked up with Gabe Davis or I forget who the other guy is, Douglas or whoever. They have somebody. They have another corner out there that's pretty good. There's no matchup in which the Packers are going to have the edge. Like, even the one side where it's like the Bills maybe have younger corners, the Packers have young receivers out there that Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust. So, like, where are you getting the edge? They'll be able to cover Bob Tunyon. Like, it just feels like a nightmare, embarrassing game where Aaron Rodgers is literally, the bus is just coming by and we just see him committing murder, like, woo, just throwing everybody in front of the bus. LaFleur, like, just taking everybody on the team is getting crushed. Are you kidding me?
And it's a shame. What's wrong?
Sorry, I'm watching the Michigan State game at the same time, and I thought there was a fumble. I thought it was a fumble. Here we go. We're almost done.
It's a shame because when I go back, I look at all the old games from, like, the past generation. You know me, I like to watch a lot of historical stuff like that. And I just know that even, like, a random Week 6 game between John Elway and Joe Montana, that's a historic game. And that's what we could get with this last year of Brady and Rodgers, versus Mahomes, versus Allen. Like, the generations blending a little bit. But the teams just aren't good enough to keep up. The Bucks and the Packs just aren't good enough to put those classic games together for us, and we're getting them taken away this way.
Well, the Bucks is one thing, right? Because they lost a bunch of offensive linemen. So, like, if they didn't lose free agency, injury, retirement, I think the Bucks are actually a completely different team because the defense played really nice for the first. They're still playing pretty good, actually. They played pretty good against a Baltimore team that was really good. Everybody's harping on Devin White, which feels weird. Maybe he's not playing at the crazy elite level he was playing at previously. He's still playing pretty good football. Like, to me, It's the offensive line.
Devin White won Defensive Player of the Month for the first month. I'm confused at what even people are talking about. Like, there's some stuff where he's getting washed underneath plays and things like that, and it's like that just happens in the league. That just happens to linebackers. Are we just highlighting it just because he's a hyped up player in the fans' eyes? I'm getting blinded right now by
Yeah, and he looks a little husky. Like, I mean, I'm not one to talk, but like he looks a little soft around
not quite where he was. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. Now they've lost Shaq Bear. I just think that those offensive line issues with Tom Brady really needed that offensive line to be stable. And I think that's the Packers just came in with really one hope: run the football and a lights out defense. Their defense has not been lights out, and they don't want to run the football apparently. Like, I don't think they run it as much as they should, at least.
No. Going Bills in that one. And then for the final game of the week, y'all, we got Bengals-Browns. The Bengals are down Jamar Chase. That's good news for Browns fans and their chances of getting an upset in this game at home. The Browns also play the Bengals really well in the last couple of years with Baker Mayfield. I don't think it's a big difference between Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. I think this game got a lot closer with the Jamar Chase injury, Tony, but how on fire Joe Burrow is right now. I don't understand this constant thing with Emmanuel Acho, to be specific. You're tuned in. Why do you do this? Why can't you go ahead and say Burrow is on fire? Burrow is playing amazing, and Herbert is still good at the same time, or Tua, or whatever it might be. But Burrow is on fire. I'm not afraid to say that. Burrow is playing at a high level right now, and I'm going to back him until that cold streak starts again, because we know Burrow's been kind of up and down in his career.
Yeah, he's riding a heater. Good for him. That's why I picked the Bengals here, because I do think that they have a recipe for success to run the football, but for some reason they're not trying to. You often reach out to me a lot of tanking theories. I'm starting to wonder if the Browns are like, hey, let's get out of this season without major injuries to Nick Chubb, and we're fine.
Yeah, it feels that way a little bit. And I was telling my friend who's a Browns fan that maybe the expectations this year should just be to iron out all the kinks, have one more good offseason, make a few more additions to the roster, make a few more moves defensively, maybe add another weapon for Deshaun Watson to throw to, and then really go at it next year. Because there's going to be a couple games I still think we saw in the preseason Watson didn't look very good, where he's going to have to work his way back into playing shape and on the field form. So
yeah, I agree. I don't know. Johnny Talk Sports is asking about, is there time to talk about talking arthritis with Johnny Unitas? The chat is there, Johnny. The show is like, when you posted this comment 2 minutes ago, you could have already had your question up there or your comment, and we would have commented or reacted to it. Like, it's a free chat. There's no guidelines on chats. You could literally put anything in there. You could be like, did Tony tweeze his eyebrows because they look a little too manicured? And I'm going to answer honestly to that question. It's not in the chat, so I'm not going to answer it, whether or not I go and get these things feathered or break.
Yeah, and also, Johnny, I had bad news that I have no time. I'm already 15 minutes past my time limit, so I appreciate you guys for tuning into this one. That's our picks for this week. Here it is one more time for everybody that wasn't here. We will have a fantasy football dedicated show in the morning, as we do every Sunday night, Johnny. If you want to stop by and ask some fantasy football related questions, it's probably better for that show than the Pickems show, because this Pickems show has a lot of topics to cover. Like, we cover every game, so the timing needs to go kind of towards covering the games. But we appreciate you tuning in, Johnny. We appreciate everyone else tuning into the chat. Connor, Harrison, shout out to you. F. Johnson, Flash Johnson just showed up. Bodo's here. Appreciate you guys. Tony, anything else before I sign us out of here?
What is up, Bodo? How you doing? Hope you stop in tomorrow. Talk a little fantasy football in the morning. And I'm going to give Johnny Talk Sports some credit. He wants to talk about the league because the boy's 7-0.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's fucking balling out, and he wants everybody to know the league runs through him, and it's his house.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Johnny.
If you want us to talk about it, tune into the show tomorrow morning or tune into another show and just put in the chat what you want us to talk about. If you want us to say Johnny Talk Sports is the best fantasy football player we've ever seen, then we'll talk about it.
He's a GOAT.
Appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Good luck in your pick'ems. Also, if you guys want to submit your picks, link in the description. Don't forget to do it. We're running out of time for that. See you guys tomorrow morning. Joe's not here. The Raiders!